just looking over Hansard from the last time I got to speak on the budget, and honestly, I don't think the remaining 7 minutes that I have left is enough to cover everything, given what I've already spoke on. But the main theme of it, I'll have to speak even quicker than I normally do. But the main theme was the regional discrimination, and this is something that we at the Nationals talk about often. With, a quarter of the state's population living outside of the capital city, we're of strong belief that at least a quarter of infrastructure funding at a bare minimum should be invested in those regions, given that everything that the city relies on comes from us, from the Mallee, along the river on the Murray, the Wimmera, Gippsland. Everything that the city uses comes from us, and we're talking about food, fibre down in the Latrobe Valley, power, soon to be, when this government gets its way up in the northwest, the power will come from there as well. But without regional Victoria, Acting Speaker, this state would grind to a halt. We'd be naked, sober and hungry. And I know I say that all the time, but like I just said, naked because we grow the cotton, we grow the wool for fibres on your back. Sober because we grow the grapes for the wine, we grow barley, hops to make wine and beer. We grow hungry because it's obviously us that are growing the food in commercial quantities to feed not just the state, but the entire world. But the one thing that has been noted in this budget and is brought up to me most often is, how did we get into this state of debt? And by that I mean interest repayments of $1.2 million per hour. And the answer is simple, Acting Speaker. We know what it is, because Labor can't manage money. Imagine what we could do in my electorate of Mildura in a day. In a day, we could, or in a week, in a day we could fill the potholes and fix the shoulders of the roads that are crumbling pretty safely, on the state roads at least. In a week, we could fix all of the Bullock Shire Council roads that were destroyed in floods back in 2022. And I mentioned this last week in this place, Acting Speaker. Bullock Shire Council are very small in terms of resources, but large in terms of geography. They're still waiting on flood recovery funding to the tune of about $60 million so they can actually rebuild some of those roads, or just at a bare minimum, patch them up. Because we know that the only way to get our food and fibre to port or to market is on the roads, because of the rail infrastructure funding that's gone into the city and into big holes under the city and has left the Murray Basin Rail Project wanting, so that we have an inefficient rail freight service that growers just, can't afford to use because it's too inefficient with only 3 trains per week. So they have to go on trucks. We know that the trucks are getting bigger. We have family growers now, such as Lamatinas, for example, that grow carrots, and they grow carrots in my electorate, they grow carrots in the member for Lowndes electorate, they grow carrots up in Queensland even. So they can do it all year round because they're a supplier for Coles and Woolworths. They are now having, as a family farm enterprise, they have to run B quads to be able to get their carrots to market. B quads on those little roads that haven't been, the shoulders on them are literally crumbling. And like I've said, there are specifications for what the drop-off needs to be before it triggers repair. Well, I can tell you that those B quads are not getting off the road that in some cases is less than 3 metres wide, so it's family vehicles that need to leave the road with that kind of drop-off, and that's just simply dangerous. So this regional discrimination that we talk about isn't just a talking point, it's not just a media release, it's dangerous and it's costing lives. And when we talk about that in terms of healthcare as well, that $1.2 million per hour in interest repayments that we're repaying in state debt, give me a month of those interest repayments alone, just a month, and we could improve the Mildura Hospital. We could build a new hospital in a month with those interest repayments alone. And we desperately need to, because like I said, Acting Speaker, the Mildura-based public hospital has 130 beds for a catchment of 75,000 people. And we're talking in 3 states. And I have had this discussion with the Minister for Health. People are moving to New South Wales. As much as this government doesn't want to acknowledge it, we can see it in border communities. The subdivisions that are going on just over the river, so people can build there, because they can actually build a house in New South Wales pretty easily. They can subdivide. Developers are treated with respect. But they're still using the infrastructure on our side, including that hospital. In fact, all the way from Broken Hill and all the way from the Riverland in South Australia. That 130 beds to service our catchment, that's 1 bed for every 577 people. And we wonder why there is a health crisis. So when we say that Labor can't manage money, again, it's not just a talking point, it's actually dangerous, and it's costing lives. We have stories every day about how it's costing lives in healthcare, in infrastructure funding, in roads recovery funding, in support for those that grow our food and fibre in this state. This budget should have rewarded regional Victoria for the contribution they make, not just to your plate in the city, but to the overall state's GDP, and it hasn't. It has punished regional Victoria with higher debt, higher taxes and nothing to show for it. The Allan Labor government's once again proven that it governs just for the inner suburbs and marginal seats, but the Nationals will keep fighting. Acting Speaker, this budget fails regional Victoria. It fails fairness. It fails the region, all of the regions throughout Victoria, and it is simply because we know that Labor can't manage money.